hard to emphasize how great kale and chards are. And you can eat as much as you want almost when it's cooked nicely, and you know it's got so much nutrients in it, but it's not calorie dense. So forming a big base of these nice green leaves, well, red leaves and green leaves, is a great way of giving bulk to a dinner. I'm going to use a courgette here. All I'm going to do with this courgette is, it's kind of nice to have something a bit more central to a dinner. Sometimes with especially vegan foods and vegetarian foods, it's not that, you know, you're kind of missing kind of the centerpiece, if you like. So what I'm going to do with this guy is I'm just going to cut the courgette in half. And then I'm just going to score them. Little diagonal scores on both sides. Score fairly deeply. Just like that. So, and do that with both. And then, just to keep kind of moving on here, I'm going to put a little pinch of salt over that. And rub it in there. A little bit of pepper. Now I'm going to just pop them 2 pieces of courgettes onto a roasting tray and put a little drizzle of olive oil on. Just kind of a little bit of olive oil, rub it in. And I'm going to give those courgettes a little bit of a roasting before I progress with the rest of the dinner. So very, very simple. Do that with the 2 of them into the tray, into a very hot oven, say about 200 degrees, 180 plus degrees at least, until they get a little bit tender. And then it's a case of just putting together a whole dinner. So I'll get on with that then. Up here is the courgettes. There they are, scored up. And as I just mentioned there, and they're going to be just going into the oven until they're a little bit tender. So to cook this dish, very first thing, teaspoon of coconut oil into my nice heavy pan. Into that, onions and the peppers. Pinch of salt. And then just cover it up for a few minutes. And then I'm just going to have a quick check on my courgettes. And as you can see, they're just roasting up there lovely. You know, you can just switch them around there. And roasting like kind of a joint of meat almost. So they're cooking away as I'm cooking this. So having cooked that just until it starts to just tenderize a little bit, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. Now I'm just going to add in my cherry tomatoes and my garlic. I like to add the cherry and tomatoes in at the same time as the garlic because they'll bring a little bit of moisture into it and kind of protect the garlic from becoming bitter and potentially risking burning. So just going to cover that one up again and just let that all infuse together for about another 5 minutes. So having let that cook for about another 5 minutes there, you can see it's just becoming nice and tenderized, all those flavors infusing. Black beans. Black beans are going to bring the protein into this dish. These are one of those real power foods. Probably of all the beans are they arguably the most healthy of the whole lot. And I'm just going to dump those all in there. And give that again a bit of a stir around. And then a tin of good quality chopped tomatoes. Just going to swill around that with just a little drop of water and just let that cook down then. And just bring that up to simmer and kind of cook it till everything gets a little bit tender then. Nice kind of a simmering temperature until everything starts to break down, in particular the tomatoes and the peppers. So, as my sauce and my tomatoes and black beans are just cooking down, I've just put about 1/3 of a cup of water into a nice appropriate size dish. I'm going to get all my leaves. I'm going to wilt them down. So I have my chard, some beautiful chard, some lovely kale. I've just chopped the kale down a little bit. And I'm just going to put those, now spinach or something else like that would do here as well if you couldn't get these. But I'm going to just basically pop all of those into that pan with a little bit of water. I've just washed these, I've rinsed them off. I'm going to put a pinch of salt in there. before I do anything with these, I'm just going to cover them all up and allow them to just wilt down. That'll take just a few minutes. The kale and the this is mid-August, so the kales and the chards are starting to get a little bit more robust and a little bit more tougher now at this stage, so it'll take a little bit more cooking. So as you can see, that kale and chard is just cooking down. Look at the colour that's developing on that. I'm just going to flick it around a little bit and just let that cook down a little bit more, just to allow it to tenderize. And as that's cooking, my sauce here with my beans is just simmering away there, and I have my courgettes in the oven all ready for putting the whole thing together. So now as that's just cooking down, what I'm going to do now is dump, well, gently placed, I suppose it's food, my sauce with the beans into the kale. Instead of having too many pans kicking around here, we give that a nice mix around, form that into a nice little base. I'm bearing in mind that my courgettes are cooking there as well. And now at this point, I'm going to add a splash, about 30 ml of olive oil, just to give a little bit of richness to the dish. And my chopped tarragon and some chopped thyme. Now there's the tarragon, I just left a little piece of it there. Beautiful, elegant herb, kind of a slight anisey kind of taste, one of my favorite herbs. And it brings a really interesting flavor into a dish like this. So I'm going to put plenty of tarragon and thyme in here now. Just going to put the lid on those and let all of that infuse together just for a few minutes, maybe about 2 minutes tops. And then it's a case of just constructing this dish. So having allowed that just to fuse away there itself for a few minutes, as you get this lovely rich kale, chard, tomatoes, black beans, so kind of lovely, kind of rich kind of stew. And what I'm going to do with those is just get a nice appropriate dish, and I'm going to dump them all into it, because this is the kind of dish that, you know, it's allow people to take what they want. I think that's a great way of eating anyway. Fill your dish up. And this is what I mean. This dish would be almost a complete dish, even as it is. You know, you have your beans, you have loads of veg, you have vitamins and so on, but it's kind of missing that kind of central kind of finish to it. So there's my nice roasted courgettes now, and they go to a lovely kind of, when you cook them like this, you get almost kind of a custardy kind of texture of the courgettes. Kind of gives something a little bit more central on the dish, and kind of brings it together into a more complete dish. And then onto that, what I'm going to do is just do a nice little drizzle of good olive oil, pinch of salt, pinch of pepper, nice big sprig of tarragon just to show the main flavouring in there. And there we go. Lovely black bean, kales, I'm not sure what you call it, but it's very tasty and very, very Moorish.